almost imperceptible against the cold marble of the pillar. The palace sleeps, or so it seems. But sleep in these gilded cages is merely a veil for deeper machinations. The cold marble drinks the light, leaving the long corridors in an embrace of shadow, where secrets thrive like vermin. My gaze, honed by decades of observing the rise and fall of empires, follows the intricate patterns on these walls, patterns that hold within them the echoes of 1,000 whispers. A flicker of movement, not a servant, not a guard. A shift in the deep gloom by a lesser-known panel, a door designed for discretion, not display. No one was meant to hear this, but night holds too many secrets to keep them forever hidden. Do you see it? A heavy silk curtain, disturbed by some unseen current, sways, revealing for a heartbeat a sliver of polished stone, then darkness again. A fleeting glint of steel, swallowed instantly by the dark, like a guilty thought. A chill, not of the night air, settles. This is not merely stone and gold, not mere fabric and jewels. This is a stage, a crucible where the very bloodline of an empire is forged or shattered. They call it a palace. I call it a battlefield. A place where the rustle of silk can hide a poisoned dagger, where a gentle touch can signify a profound betrayal. Every glance, every silence, a weapon. And tonight, the game begins. The ultimate weapon, the most potent force in this shadowed dance, is not brute strength, but the absence of sound itself. The silence that descends, thick and heavy, is what truly kills here. It conceals the truth until it's too late. What do you imagine is happening in that shadow, behind that secret door, that demands such profound quiet? Look closer now, if your breath can still carry the scent of truth through these hallowed halls. The Sultan's chamber, yes, but the true theater unfolds beyond it, in the very air that shimmers with the dust of ages. Here, the rhythm of life slows, a silken curtain drawn across the brutal pulse of the world outside. What greets the eye is a tapestry woven from the very dreams of avarice. Silks, heavy and luminous, cascading from ceiling to floor in hues stolen from a dying sunset and the midnight sea. Jewels, not merely set, but embedded into the very walls, catching the faintest flicker of lamplight, scattering 1,000 silent promises. Gold brocade, thick as a king's ransom, wraps every surface, every cushion, every carved lattice, proclaiming an undeniable, unyielding power. And the scent, the scent. A rich, cloying embrace of rare oud and amber, of jasmine and rosewater, pumped through every artery of this living palace. It clings to the heavy drapes, to the ornate ceilings, to the very skin of those who walk these corridors. It is designed to intoxicate, to lull, to drown the senses in a perfumed haze. But I tell you, from this shadowed vantage point, it is merely a mask. A costly, exquisite veil drawn over something far more primal, far less fragrant. For beneath that intoxicating perfume, if you listen with more than just your ears, you can almost detect the true stench of intrigue, the faint metallic tang of betrayal, the cold sweat of fear. Every intricate curve of an oriental ornament, every polished facet of a gemstone, every shimmering thread in that golden brocade, they are not merely decorations, they are boundaries, edges. Each one, a subtle reminder of the sharpness that defines life within these gilded confines. These walls, my friend, have seen empires born and empires crumble to dust. They have witnessed a rise of sultans whose names shook the world and their swift, silent descent into oblivion. But the true, incessant battle, the one that never truly ceased, always waged here, inside. Behind the thin, shimmering veil of decorum, beneath the sweet, knowing smiles. This is where the real architects of fate reside. Not the men, always consumed by their maps and their armies and their fleeting conquests. No, it is here, among the whispers of silk and the clink of gold, that the true players emerge. the women. Their beauty is but the first layer of their armor, their grace merely a prelude to their cunning. Their ambition is a current as strong and relentless as any sultan's, perhaps even more so, for theirs is a war fought not with scimitars, but with whispers. Their smiles? Sharp as the finest Damascus steel, capable of severing alliances, friendships, and even lives, all with a practiced, elegant ease. They do not merely exist within these walls, they are these walls. Their every move, every calculated glance, every carefully chosen word is a stroke in a canvas of power. Their struggle is not for land or tribute, but for something far more sacred, far more enduring, the bloodline, the very essence of the dynasty. To secure its future, to guide its course, to ensure their seed, their influence will forever bloom at its heart. Observe the sherbet now, served in crystal pitchers, gleaming like liquid jewels in the filtered light. It is exquisite, prepared with the finest fruits and spices, cooled with mountain snow. A sip promises refreshment, a momentary escape from the oppressive heat, a sweet taste of paradise. But in this palace, nothing is ever truly as it seems. For the very same hands that offer such a delicate pleasure are capable of dissolving a subtle, potent poison into its depths. A single drop, imperceptible, tasteless, yet enough to turn refreshment into oblivion, sweetness into silence. Such is the price of power in this golden cage. Such is the nature of their game. The air in these chambers, once thick with the perfume of jasmine and rose, now carried the metallic tang of unspoken intentions. A shift, subtle as the rustle of a courtier's silk, yet profound as the tremor before an earthquake. The rhythm of the palace quickened, a drumbeat of anticipation echoing through the marble halls. For here, behind the velvet hangings, where shadows clung like conspirators, the game was never truly paused. It merely shifted its tempo, demanding sharper senses, colder hearts. A glance, colder than winter ice, passed between two figures across the Sultan's divan. Not a flicker of emotion, but a stark, undeniable message. A silent language, spoken in the twitch of an eyelid, a barely perceptible tightening of a jaw. A pact sealed without a single uttered vow, a clandestine promise of either allegiance or ruin. The very air around them seemed to crackle with the unspoken weight of it. Later, a fine silk scarf, embroidered with the delicate symbols of a long-forgotten house, would flutter from a balcony, seemingly caught by a capricious breeze. It would land not by chance, but by design, at the foot of an eager hand, waiting in the hidden recess of the fountain courtyard. Within its delicate folds, an unseen message lay woven. A coded whisper for a clandestine rendezvous, a key to unlock a door that should have remained bolted shut, a path to a future that was, in truth, a trap. A scroll bearing a decree that promised immense favor and power lay sealed with the Sultan's own signet. To the casual eye, it was pristine, inviolate. But I, from my vantage point behind the Sultan's pillar, saw the faint, almost imperceptible hairline fracture in the hardened wax, a testimony to a trust already violated. Broken not with brute force, but with cunning precision, by hands that sought knowledge before it was meant to be shared. A secret read, a future betrayed, before the ink had even dried. Such was the craftsmanship of deceit. Every step, here, was a precise calculation. Every word, a sharpened weapon, honed in the crucible of ambition. There were no accidents in this labyrinth of power, only meticulously planned falls, orchestrated with cruel elegance to clear a path. The ground was always shifting beneath these gilded slippers, the fierce loyalty of yesterday, the inevitable betrayal of tomorrow. Observe, for instance, the intricate dance between two dominant stars in this celestial theater. The formidable Valide Sultan, with her eyes fixed on the regency of the empire, and the younger, vibrant harem favorite, Roxolana, dreaming of the gilded cage of a permanent favorite, perhaps even a legal wife. The elder, a master weaver of fates, saw in the younger's fervent hunger not a threat, but a potent, easily manipulated tool. a vulnerability to be exploited with surgical precision. She fed Roxolana whispers of the Sultan's waning affections, of insidious plots to diminish her rising star, knowing full well these were the perfect seeds of rebellion in a fertile, insecure heart consumed by ambition. The Valide Sultan presented Roxolana with a chance, a fabricated opportunity to expose a powerful rival, to consolidate her own burgeoning influence by subtly undermining the Sultan's trusted Grand Vizier. A poison chalice disguised as a jewel-encrusted goblet of ultimate power. Roxolana, blinded by the glitter of promised ascendancy, drank deeply, eagerly. She saw the Valide's guidance as mentorship, a direct path to her wildest desires, her ultimate triumph. She believed it to be her glorious ascent. But it was, in truth, her descent into a chasm carefully dug by hands that offered aid while sharpening their knives. The shadows, long and unforgiving, began to stretch across the palace courtyards, swallowing the last vestiges of daylight, and with them the last shred of innocence, of naive belief. They clung to the corners of the grand chambers, obscuring not just the opulent architecture, but the true intentions, the hidden agendas, the silent, bloodless executions of character and ambition. For in the encroaching dark, the serpent can strike unseen, and its venom spreads before the victim even knows they are bitten. And the game, my friends, was far from over. It had merely found its next victim, drawn by the siren song of its own insatiable ambition, destined to fall. The air grew heavy, thick with unspoken dread. In the Sultan's chamber, where the very dust motes seemed to hold ancient secrets, a silence descended, deep and menacing. It was not the quiet of peace, but a void, screaming with unseen forces, a vortex pulling at the fabric of fate itself. From my accustomed shadow, behind the cold marble of a pillar, I watched as the players moved, almost imperceptibly, towards their appointed doom. Do you understand the weight of such moments? The world outside, beyond these silk-draped walls, might have continued its oblivious dance. But here, in this heart of the empire, a single breath could shatter 1,000 futures. There she stood, a figure of exquisite beauty, yet her eyes, those pools of ambition and fear, betrayed the torment within. Across from her, a smile. Oh, that smile. It was a masterpiece of deception, woven from threads of betrayal and painted with the sweet veneer of affection. In her hand, a silver chalice, gleaming under the soft lamplight, offered not refreshment, but a choice. A sherbet of rose and honey, innocent in its presentation, yet carrying the silent promise of poison. A single drop, enough to sever a bloodline, to silence a claim, to change the course of a dynasty. The moment stretched, an eternity compressed into a single, agonizing heartbeat. I saw the imperceptible tremor in her hand as she reached for the cup. The choice was hers, and hers alone. To save herself, to secure her place in the labyrinthine hierarchy of the palace, she had to sacrifice another. Or to fall, herself, caught in the insidious web spun by a rival's cold cunning. There was no escape, no neutral ground in this game. Every move was a gamble, every glance a potential weapon. The whispers of generations, the weight of the crown, the precarious future of the dynasty itself, it all converged on that single, agonizing decision. I could almost hear the rustle of silk as ambition clawed at her conscience, the chilling logic of survival overriding every instinct for mercy. Blood on hands, they say, is the price of the crown. And who were we, mere observers of this grand, brutal theater, to judge? When the very survival of an empire hangs by a thread, when the legacy of 1,000 years trembles on the edge of extinction, the rules of morality bend, twist, and finally break. Her fingers closed around the cold silver. A flicker of resolution, hard as obsidian, passed through her eyes. The smile opposite her widened, a silent, triumphant affirmation. There was no sound, no gasp, no dramatic flourish, just a subtle shift in the air, a minute realignment of power. The cup was lifted, the sherbet tasted, and in that precise instant, the fate of one key figure on this merciless chessboard was sealed. The fall was not a scream, but a whisper, swallowed by the lavish silence of the Sultan's chamber, leaving only the chilling echo of a dynasty's relentless march. And so, the breathless tension, for a moment, recedes. A hush, thick as the ancient tapestries adorning these very walls, descends upon the chamber. Can you feel it? The stillness? The palace itself seems to exhale, a colossal stone beast, indifferent to the whispers of ambition or the silent screams of despair that vanish within its depths. Look closer, beyond these gilded chambers, at the vastness of this empire's heart. It stands, eternal, while the dramas within are but fleeting tremors on its unyielding surface. But do not be deceived by this sudden quiet. It is a fragile thing, this peace. For the echoes of these battles, of every whispered threat, every calculated betrayal wrapped in silk, every drop of poison sipped from a silver chalice, they do not truly die. They linger, carried on the very dust motes dancing in the moonlight, destined to resound through the ages. A warning, etched not in stone, but in the annals of memory, passed from mouth to mouth, generation to generation. Beyond the intricate veil of these palace walls, the game, my dear observers, never truly ends. It merely changes its players. The faces may alter, a new sultan, a new sultana, fresh young hopefuls rising from the harem's shadows. But the fundamental rules? They remain as immutable as the stars. It is always about power, always about survival, always about the sacred, relentless continuation of the bloodline. A dynasty's very breath depends on it. And for this, for their place under the dazzling sun of absolute authority, or sometimes for a more potent, insidious power found deep within the shadows, each and every one is ready. Ready for anything. Do you truly comprehend the depth of that resolve? The lengths they will go? The cold, calculating silence required? Look now, as the moon casts its pale, knowing light upon these empty corridors. They are not truly empty, are they? They are heavy with history, pregnant with untold stories, awaiting the next heartbeat, the next whisper, the next move in this eternal, merciless dance. The game never stops. It merely waits,